Is artificial intelligence really the future of marketing? Can AI help you market your vacation rental? Is it going to take over your job? Will AI take over the world as we know it? We will be answering most of these questions in today's interview with AI expert John Demer. There is a lot of talk around the subject of artificial intelligence and where it's headed in the near future. This conversation dives into that topic with new insight and practical steps on how you can get started using AI in your marketing efforts. Also, if you're new to using AI in your marketing, stick around to the end because we have the 3 main tools you need in order to get started. And if you don't want to wait, that's fine. The 3 are ChatGPT, CapCut, and Canva. So there you go. I hope you subscribe, and let's get started. Today, I have the privilege of sitting down with digital marketing expert and AI specialist John Demer. He's the owner and operator of Rule of 7 Marketing, a veteran-owned digital marketing agency based out of Jacksonville, North Carolina. John has worked on various industries, ranging from industrial packaging and paper conversion to luxury resorts and med tech. In 2015, he began his social media career with small brand accounts, and by 2020, he had amassed over 400,000 active followers on TikTok, which is incredible. He strongly believes that social media is the cornerstone of future marketing departments and is utilizing AI to create hybrid human workflows that achieve better results with much, much less effort. He is personally a consistent voice of all things AI for my social media feed. He's the main source of inspiration, tutorials, and news for me. So this conversation is pretty exciting for me. I think I would sit down and talk to him for a few hours without recording anything. I'd do this either way. So for this episode, we'll be discussing if AI is taking over the future of marketing. And we'll start off with some more general AI marketing questions and then kind of narrow our focus down towards the vacation rental space. And then finally, we'll finish off with some practical ways that you can start leveraging AI to market your business more effectively starting today. So, John, thanks for joining me today, man.
Jacob, thank you so much for having me. This is
Of course,
I
dude.
very much enjoy your work. I very much enjoy like watching all of your branded content on Instagram, and yeah, super stoked to talk.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. I was curious, how did you even get started? We actually talked about this, but this is for the podcast. I was curious, how did you get started?
Oh,
Um,
so funny you should ask.
but
I,
yeah, how did you get started in marketing in general? Because we're talking about paper conversion, packaging, luxury resorts. Like how did the marketing thing start for you?
yeah, well, I think it all started off as being a creator. So I started managing brand accounts in 2015. Mostly just like outdoor channels, stuff for clothing, just small things here and there, nothing significant. I did that throughout my time in the Army. About 2019, I really started to hit it off on TikTok.
Mm,
Um, from there, ended up having a couple of viral videos and a couple of a couple of months that really set home a following for myself. And then from there, I did a lot of traveling. I did a lot of streaming. Um, yeah, just generally content creating.
yeah.
Before the TikTok actually came out, I decided that social media was kind of a direction I would like to go. Picked up did a bunch of cold walk-ins. Actually, it was walking to random businesses and asking to help them social.
Oh
So I
wow.
picked up one of their accounts, Shaved Ice Place. Managed that while I was doing the whole TikTok van life live streaming era of my story, and was managing for them. Eventually, they asked me if I would like to open one. I did. I managed that full time for a year. Then put that down, and I went to work for a packaging company. Um, yeah, so recently left that packaging company, and I have started my own agency. And I really did that. One of the main reasons was AI. So there's a couple
Mm,
things were the reasons, but one of the biggest reasons, one of the biggest reasons was AI and how it's shaping content creation. Um, Basically, I kind of made a call in June, and it was my role was going to be significantly reduced or replaced within a year and a half.
Hmm.
And yeah, decided to leave and go ahead and ride the wave. So even though I
Yeah.
think that the future of marketing is in house, I think that we are going to have a season where teaching AI and implementing AI into in-house, creative teams is going to be very, very lucrative. So
Yeah.
that's where I am.
And you're definitely doing that very intentionally. You're getting content out there on a regular basis. And I'm definitely learning a lot. The rule of seven marketing, like that name, I mean, I looked it up and kind of figured out what that was about, but kind of describe where you came up with that name.
Yeah, so it's the idea that people have to be exposed to your message 7 times before they take action with your brand. And it honestly just felt fitting. In today's world, it doesn't matter if someone follows you. We're in interest based algorithms rather than connections based algorithms. So, unless you're continuously putting out content that interests them, you're not going to get
Hmm.
those continuous looks like you used to. So,
Right.
the thing that we really specialize in is helping people get the seventh look through through engaging content. And then a big part of what we're doing is AI creative workflows. So we're
Yeah.
helping people produce more, get in front of people faster, in order to make more sales or to grow their business.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I think just the last and my first episode for this podcast talked about um, visibility and having to repeat something. So it's a brilliant name for a marketing company.
Also, the
Um,
domain was available, so I'll take
yeah. Did you
it.
try anything else before that?
One or two, but I mean, you
Yeah,
know what?
it's fine. Yeah.
Done is better than perfect, Jacob. So
Yeah, no, that's true. That's so
yeah,
true. um, yeah. So, and then I was going to ask you about how you got started with AI, but you pretty much already answered that with it's the future of marketing. You're riding this wave, and you're teaching other people to do it as
Mhm.
well to do the AI. Shows how much I know. Um,
That's how much a lot of people know, and
right.
that's a lot.
Which is why we're doing this conversation because I definitely want people to understand how it's not, Terminator over here. It can be very beneficial. But yeah, let's jump into some of the general AI marketing questions. I think a lot of people think that artificial intelligence, the idea of using that to aid in your job, is such a weird concept, probably to a lot of people. And so I think the best way to kind of like clear that up is like how has it changed the way that you work personally?
Absolutely. So I think a big misconception people have with AI is the fact that it's going to come in and then it's going to immediately replace what you were doing and it's going to just do it for you. You are going to have an all-in-one solution that works 100% of the time.
Yeah.
But what is actually the case and how it works is the people who are getting the most use out of it are the people who allow it to make small wins for them. So the way
Hmm.
I've started implementing it isn't necessarily to do anything ground shaking, earth bending, whatever. But it's allowing it to do the small things in my life that once took a little bit more time. And it allows me to do them faster, saving time, allowing me to apply myself in areas that are a little bit more tailored or nuanced or something that
Yeah.
only I have understanding for. So I would say the way that that looks in house or the way that looks like in moment is things like graphic design. So, like back in the day, if you wanted to remove a background off of an image, you would have to go find a graphic designer. You'd have to get them to put it into Photoshop. Um, and then they would basically just work their magic and they would pass you back a
Hmm.
transparent background with the image. But now it's the matter of a couple of clicks. So,
Right.
giving that ability to everyone significantly increases the amount of creative potential that everyone has.
Right.
Same thing could be said with video editing. The same thing could be said. Like you take something you used to pass to a video editor, and now it's a couple of clicks, and your video is 40 to 50% better. So it
Hmm.
allows me to spend more time on the things that really make me good at video editing.
You come up with video things like, hey, look, video clips of you saying, hey, here's a new way that I use, um, AI to help my workflow better, and even like there was one about voice messaging uh, your day, your
Mhm.
plans for the day, and then it kind of categorizes it and helps you organize your day and puts it in written form. Did I get that right, or was there something else to that tool that you use?
Yeah, so it's basically just the common functionality of like a chatbot, except for ChatGPT allows you to speak to it. So it's the voice to text function.
Oh,
Um,
okay,
you
okay,
can sit there and you can just kind of tell it everything that you have to do. Um, and while that's not, again, it's not groundbreaking. It's not earth shattering. It's just something that took a little bit of time that now takes a little bit less time. Um,
right.
so I sit down and I brain dump everything that I need to get done for the day. You can give it priorities. You can give it how long something will probably take you. If you allow your AI to tell you how long it takes, it could be wrong. Me editing a video could take 2 hours, but it could think it takes 30 minutes. So
Right.
you give it how much time, and then you basically just ask for summary and organization. You can also do things, and I've done this, is you can do it for things like you need to buy. So in that list of brain dumps, you can start saying like sugar, flour,
Mm,
you know, laundry detergent, toilet paper. And it will know that those are things that it has to pick up. Like you're not doing toilet paper, right?
right.
So it'll go ahead and it'll add a list of things down at the bottom.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's again, it's not major. It's just something that helps me be a little bit more
Well,
intentional.
I
Um,
mean, over time and accumulating all of these things can be major for a lot of people, especially small companies who don't know or don't have the resources to hire somebody else to do certain things. These
mhm,
these these types of tools can definitely change business. I mean, it's insane. And like you said, some graphic designers or whatever, the job of removing a background from a photo, like, hey, that's my job. But really, like, do you want to spend all your time removing backgrounds, or
mhm,
do you want to start doing things that some passion projects and stuff that you'd like to do and
yeah.
save the simple things that now can be done in a couple of clicks. I think it's pushing the creative side of things forward and regular workflows much quicker, making that much quicker.
Well, also another like real life use case is we were sitting there, and this was one of the straws that broke the camel's back for me. Is we were sitting there and we were looking for an image to upload um, as a social tease for an Amazon Prime series that was just released.
Hmm.
So all I had was the thumbnail, and the thumbnail was not a 1:1 aspect ratio. So I grabbed that thumbnail, literally screen grabbed it. I took it into Dolly 3 and I had it expand the borders. So I had it expanded into a 1:1, and all of a sudden, instead of
Wow.
having to go track down the initial image and get it into 1:1 or find the original designer, I was able to go grab it, expand it, and post it all within 40 minutes.
Wow.
And that was when I didn't know the technology like worked. I was like guessing. I was like, I hope this does the thing that I need it to do.
Dolly, you better do me good. So
But it was
Dolly, so what is that exactly?
Dolly 3. Or
Dolly
so
3.
Dolly 2. So the way OpenAI kind of developed was OpenAI came out with ChatGPT, and then on the side, they came out with Dolly. So Dolly was their text to image generator. It wasn't up until very recently those two things merged into ChatGPT 4. So the newest edition of
Gotcha.
ChatGPT
Okay.
4 has Dolly 3, which is the newest model of Dolly, and it has GPT 4, which is the newest version of ChatGPT. So it's getting closer to multimodality, which is basically it operates in text and in video and in audio,
Gotcha.
but it basically is just an image generator. So yeah, I hope
Okay.
that answered the question.
No,
But
it does, because there's so many tools out there, and it's kind of hard to know what works,
yeah,
what is just like people trying to make a quick buck, and it's not really the best. I've signed up. I've seen a few ads here and there, like, well, that's super cool. I test it out, give them my email and sign in, and then it's like, you got to pay for this, and it doesn't work that great. Or if you want to see the results, send us, your social security number.
can
I
I,
haven't had that happen,
can I
but
explain that really fast though?
sure, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so basically what happened is OpenAI came out and they made the API available to everybody. So anybody who wanted to use the LLM of GPT 3.5 could go and they could make their own platform or they could make their own website. And whenever someone asked it for AI output over here, it would secretly just go and buy it from OpenAI and they would pitch it off as their own
Oh,
service. So that's where you got all of these massive like UI interfaces for
wow.
ChatGPT. So when they just came out last week, you like when they announced GPTs, they announced the death of hundreds of websites that were
Wow.
running off of OpenAI already. Because what this does was it comes in and it basically just gives the functionality instead of forcing people to go through these third parties. It can now be accessed on ChatGPT
Oh,
4.
that is wild.
Yeah. So a lot of those platforms were just OpenAI. I had somebody try to sell me some AI software, and they stopped responding to me when I asked them what large language model is it running on,
Yeah.
because it's either running on OpenAI. We can cut this
They're
out.
expecting you to not to even ask those types of questions. You're like, what are you doing? Try to know more about.
Well, they were like, well, it's not really running on an LLM, and I'm like, it's not AI. Like you're selling me a Google sheet right now. That is what you're
Ah,
selling me.
interesting. Wow. Okay. That is going to be incorporated soon. Like all these businesses have already tanked, or that's happening soon.
So basically, it's they're holding on to the people they have at the moment. Once this stuff with GPT-4 really catches up, they're not going to be seeing like a ton of new customers. So they'll probably float for a little while until people find out that it's available for $20 a month on GPT-4.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and that's leading into the next thing. If you're going to start somewhere and you're looking for like the best bang for your buck currently, it is ChatGPT Plus. It's $20 a
Okay.
month, and it gives you access to GPT-4, which is code interpreter. So if you're doing anything with like math or you're doing anything with like code, that's great to have. It's browsing with Bing, so it can access the internet for you. And then it is also
Mm,
Dolly 3, which means if you ask it for an image, it will create you an image.
wow.
But Dolly 3 can do text, so you can now ask it for typographic, images. So
Wow.
yeah,
That
bang for your
that's really
buck.
crazy. It's gonna be yeah. There's so many different things that cost that cost a lot of money. And do you think does it do video as well, or is it just
So no, as of right now,
okay?
no.
Okay.
But there are whispers of early 2024 GPT-5, which should be multimodal. Um,
Okay.
and again, whispers. I don't can't verify any of them, but from what I've heard, it could be video input, video output.
I mean, it makes sense. It's gonna happen at some point. I'm sure.
At some
Um,
point, and that's what they call multimodality. Is you can speak to it with any type of input, and it can speak to you with any type of output. So we're all headed towards multimodality.
right. It's
Mhm.
insane. It's crazy. So, as far as the marketing world,
Yeah.
where do you think AI is headed for yeah companies using it to market themselves?
Yeah, so it's not going to it's not going to give people it's not going to allow you to market something you weren't able to market before. It's going to make you better at what you do.
Okay.
It's going to make the process, the time required, the cost. It's going to make all of those lower. Um, and I'd say the future is probably in house. I
Yeah.
would love to say that you could hire an AI agency to do all of your marketing for you, but eventually it is going to make more sense to have someone part-time in-house doing admin work and part-time helping with your marketing, um,
Right.
because of some of these AI systems. So it's all going to get two things. It's going to get very real. So the people who start winning are going to be the people who are um, like really showing up authentically and not like these hyper polished brands, not um, I don't know, not the aesthetic Instagram grid. People who are going to really start doing well are the people who are like authentically being themselves as brand accounts.
So let's dive into the vacation rental space more specifically, because that is our as Ankerpoint. That's kind of our target audience, and most of our clients, or all of our clients, are in the vacation rental space. So let's start with asking, how are some of the bigger vacation rental companies already using AI? Because they're probably some of the first to jump on that. Like, okay, how can we improve? Here's some tools that we're gonna start using to, yeah, better our companies, collect data more easily, uh, potentially. Like, what are some of the tools that they have been using that maybe give them an edge over their competition?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't speak to any one of those companies very specifically. Um, But what I can say is it's not the things that everyone would think it was. You're probably going to see AI powered chatbots coming within the next 6 or 7 months.
Hmm.
on each listing. So, talk to the listing, ask if you have this, ask if you have that, and the listing will be able to respond to you. You're probably
Right.
going to see that in the next 6 or 7 months. But it's very simple things like helping make better decisions when it comes to like sponsored ads.
Okay.
So like Promax is AI powered Google Ads. It's not all AI powered, but there is AI there. So the way that they're running Google Ads is kind of getting a little bit more efficient. The way that I'm sure a lot of vacation rentals are doing their descriptions are getting better. They're getting more
Yeah.
tailored to
Yep.
their keywords.
I asked my team, some of my team, like, hey, what are some other questions we can ask? How can we best serve the vacation rental space and soak as much wisdom out of John Demer as we can? So they've written some questions also. So I'll just read these
Yeah.
and see what you got for these. But
All
um,
right.
one of them is I've experienced putting in a few hours to create a well crafted email and then turned around and asked AI to write it for me and was surprised how well it could do.
Mhm.
It won't word everything exactly how I would, but it's definitely usable. So, what do you think is lost, or do you think anything is lost by not having that personal touch in the writing and the time investment of writing things yourself? Do you think anything's lost by having AI write that?
Oh yeah, I think that the main thing that you're losing is continuity of voice. So if you are sitting here and you use a very polished, you use a very AI written response for an email or for a blog post, and then you just don't use it next time, you're going to sound like two different people.
Mm,
People are very good at pattern recognition. Um,
right,
so, what I would say is that if you're doing that, how do you make your AI output sound like you?
right,
Like, how do you make the responses that it gives be closer to what you would be so that that continuity is a little bit closer? So, if you're sending a cold outreach, like, but also you can tell if a human is cold outreaching you, or you can tell if a human is actually trying to like buy something from you, or they're trying to engage you in some way that is not trying to sell something to you.
right.
Everybody knows what a spam LinkedIn message looks like, or everyone knows what a spam email
Yeah,
looks like. It's the same kind of concept. You just need to get really good at making your AI output AI like sound like you. And there's a couple things that you can do to do that. One is you can train output by training your chat on your voice. So what I did, and this is basically a really summarized version of this, but you can go and you can take the larger the sample set, the better. But you can take 15 writing examples and you can have AI describe it. You can do this in Claude, you can use it in ChatGPT, and it'll describe it using
mm,
tone, prompt, voice, whole 9 yards of just like how do I sound when I normally write. Then you ask it to do that roughly 10 times. So it gives you 5 or 10 different descriptions. And then you take it, you mesh them all together, and you run a consensus prompt, which is basically saying, like, all of these things are generally saying the same thing. I would like you to find one consensus prompt that summarizes all of them. So then you
wow,
take that prompt, and anytime you would like to sound like you can basically just like, this is how I write, and this is what I'm trying to say. So then your output will be more tailored to you.
gotcha. So you take all those things that are similar, basically
Mhm.
copy and paste. Was it just a massive list of different words and like make it sound more friendly? Make it, is it a bunch of thoughts that you copy and paste and then put in there? And
So that word depends on the chatbot. So what it can
okay,
be is you're using, let's just say you're using ChatGPT. You can put it in what's called your custom instructions. So you can put it in your custom instructions and say, like, when I write an email, I write like this, or when I write a social media caption, I write like this. And you're gonna have a different prompt for each one of these because, like, I'm not writing a social caption the same way I'm responding to you on an email.
right,
Um, but what's going to happen is you're basically going to say, hey, like, this is my writing style. And the writing style will be described as like tone. He is friendly, charismatic, speaks in short sentences. It's going to describe pretty much everything about you. Like, it's going to say, like, use of slang. He uses certain slang words. And the important part is to ask it to quantify each one of those things. So on a scale of 6 to 10, his tone is playful. And that was the one I used for social that very much came to mind, 6 to 10 playful. But yeah, you have it quantify exactly what you sound like. And then once you can quantify, because like the hard part is you're like, that doesn't sound like me. Tell me what sounds like you. Most people
mm,
can't do it. Like if
you're
I
right,
asked you right now to describe your writing style, you couldn't. But you'd recognize it if it wasn't yours. So what you can do, and that's the pattern recognition thing. So what you can do is you just have AI identify what you are, and then
Interesting.
replicate it. And then every time it writes, it will write kind of like you. Now, you're not going to agree with it. But just the same way that you don't agree with how the way your voice sounds whenever you listen to a recording of yourself. Um, you didn't write that. That's not me. I didn't say that. That's not me. It's only until
Right.
you get better at listening to yourself that you realize that's kind of what I sound like. So yeah, same thing
So
for writing.
practically speaking, I'm thinking through this as if I'm listening to this, and I'm like, okay, this is awesome. I'd love to create my own, voice.
Mhm.
And I wrote as much as I could down in my notes. But what, like, do you have a video or a tutorial or anything like that, or resources where you found that where you could send people that's like, okay, here's a step by step how to do this.
Yeah, I have a basic level PDF. I can
Oh,
shoot
that's
that to
awesome.
you, and you can put that. You can, yeah,
That
I'll shoot
that
that to
wasn't
you.
like a a planned question. You happen to have that. That's great,
No,
man.
that's one of my giveaways. It's one of those things that it's relevant. Like
Yeah,
people are using this. They're not using it for the high level stuff that I'm using it for. They're using it to help them write emails. And if I can
yeah.
help them do the thing that they're trying to do, even 10 to 20% better, that's the goal.
That's awesome, man. Okay, well, we'll definitely link that
Yeah.
so people can start doing that starting today. Another question I had for you is one of the things we do for clients is write a bunch of articles. And this usually involves doing research around like topics, reading up on other people's experiences, and if possible, doing like in person research by visiting the place that we're talking about. Do you think AI does or will completely do away with the need for all of that, or maybe for the exception of the in-person experience, obviously? But do you think AI can completely take over all of that research for you? Is it that powerful yet, or are we still waiting?
We're still getting there. But
Okay.
with that being said, the way that we've traditionally done that will change. And it will change because everyone else will get very good at it. But allow us to think of this as like an opportunity and not necessarily kind of like an imminent threat. We have the opportunity to double down on the things that only we can do. Only we can go into a place and really describe like the essence or the aura of the location.
Right.
Only we really pick up on the things like, yeah, like I'm parked across the street, and it just so happens that they have a really strong jaywalking policy in this town. I had to walk 2 blocks down after getting a ticket, right? So it's all of those little things that allow humans to be humans that are really going to start differentiating people. Um,
Mm,
but with that being said, as of like right now, it's not there. So the way that content was traditionally made is it's not going to replace kind of it's not going to replace your process. It is going to alter your process. So you can sit down and say like, cool, what is something who would be is someone who would be going here? What are some of the things they would be looking at? So you can preface your trip. You can sit there and say like, cool, like these are the things I want to notice. I want to notice like how far is the walk from parking to there? Is it is it
mhm.
actually accessible to certain people? Is it easy to find? All of the little things like how is the service? Like you can have it prompt you to be a little
Right.
bit more in person in the moment for when you go into your real
Yeah.
scenario. But
That's
then
that's
also
a good point. Yeah.
once you're there, kind of like the note taking prompt, you can use AI to take your notes. So you're sitting there, and instead of just writing them down as you're kind of thinking about that, because when you're doing something like this, you want to be intentional. You're not just going. You might just be going to just enjoy a vibe. Even if you just go to enjoy the vibe, the second you walk out the door, you don't want to forget anything. You hit record and you brain dump everything that you just experienced or the high points or the things you really want to talk about. You hit done, you hit summarize.
Hmm.
And that's just one of the ways that's going to make you a little bit better. It's
Yeah.
not
That's
not going to do your work for you, but it'll sure as hell make you dangerous.
yeah. It definitely help you keep track of everything, because I mean, there's so many times where or conversations like this. Luckily, we're recording it. But if I sit down with a friend, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll remember all of that. But then I'll only remember a few key points. I'm like, man, I really wish I would have brought a notebook. So anyway, stuff like that. That's going to be able to help a lot. And I think when I used just recently uh, worked on an article using AI, and it even takes into the account reviews. So it kind of has that. I think it's going to keep getting better the more reviews people send, it will like read those and say, because I was writing an optimistic article about different restaurants, and it brought a few reviews into account and a few negative points. I'm like, why would it write that? And it shows me the source, and it's like, TripAdvisor reviews. So it's
Hmm.
like reading human experiences. So it kind of has that element, and I think the more advanced it gets, it will have that human element, but only based on people who have already uh, left a review, or not. Well, yeah. So that's pretty interesting. I found that pretty interesting. That was just earlier. That was I think yes or no last week. But
Yeah,
anyway,
it's not like Google. You don't get to tailor how you look anymore.
no.
You can do little things that will tailor how you look, but for the most part, like if people don't like you, it's gonna tell you. You're doing something wrong. It's almost like we get the chance to be better in our product offerings.
Another question I have for you is AI written content. Um, can that help, or maybe the opposite side of that? Can that hinder SEO? Does it notice the difference, and will it penalize you for AI written content, or is that not a thing at all yet? Like where I've always felt weird sometimes writing some or having AI write something and releasing it. I may had a few edits here and there because it sounds weird to use a certain word that it wrote, but but yeah, is does that can it penalize SEO?
As of right now, no. As of
Okay.
right now, it's just generally net positive. One thing that I would generally say about the way that AI is changing SEO, though, just kind of on that note, is it's allowing us to get more specific about the SEO that we like, the keywords that we are using. So now we can go to Keyword Planner and we can copy all of our reviews, paste them, and ask for the keywords that these people who left these reviews would probably find interesting. So then we can put a little bit more
Wow.
emphasis on those words. So you go take your reviews, copy, paste. Hey, these people all wrote reviews. What are the keywords that I could use to target more people like them? Um,
Wow.
so things
That is
like that, and then you
powerful.
can
Yeah.
cross that with your keywords planner, and you can have a good list of words. You can take that list of words, take it to one of your chatbots, and just say, "Hey, I have this article that I wrote about this very specific place. I would like you to integrate these words." Um, so you're not removing your need for creativity. You're not removing your need for being a good creative writer. You're just taking the part that you didn't want to do, which was take 25 words and mesh it into what you just said, and you're allowing it to do that for you. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the easier way would be you could have one of your chatbots write it for you. Um, but then again, you're going to end up with a lot of like very smooth, very polished content, and eventually you'll see a drop off from performance of that. On the SEO note, what okay, so there's SEO, so search engine optimization, and then SERP, which is search engine results page. Um, and the difference between those two is SEO is how you get on the search engine results page, and
Yeah.
search engine results is pay per click, paid results, and now we're getting into search, or it's SGE, so search generative experience, I think. But basically, what it is, when you type
Hmm.
something into Google, it's giving you an AI generated answer.
Yes, I have seen that. Yeah.
Yes. So if you'll notice, that comes above the paid ads as of right now. So
Wow.
when you are writing SEO content, or content that's designed to increase your SEO, you really have to make sure that the keywords that you're using now are related to the action you want them to take. So let's just say you were an Airbnb owner and you ran a blog about like things to do in your local neighborhood in Venice. Um, Now, instead of you getting all that traffic for, top things to do in Venice, and then having like kind of the affiliate link to your VRBO, now they're going to ask things to do in Venice. It's going to come up with an SGE result. It's going to tell them things to do, and you're going to receive less impressions,
Wow.
less click through on
That's
that.
interesting.
So just kind of the way things are changing, but you're still not going to be losing out on the, Venice rentals near me, or like cheapest place to stay Venice. Like those are the kind of keywords that you're going to be looking at a lot of. So it's more of the educational things, we're going to start missing out on.
That's very interesting. Do you think, or does it? I haven't even checked. Does the little summary that Google or whatever search engine puts at the top,
Yeah,
does it cite where it got the information?
it will. Yeah.
Okay. So it will. So if people are interested, I mean, and it takes information from you, you could potentially be cited at the top.
They could find you. Would I say that most people are like looking for? Do most people really want to go to one page to find the information they're looking for when it's like to go find more in depth
Right.
information when it's just very precisely listed there?
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think it would change their question at that point. So did they move from consideration to decision, or did they? Yeah, it's kind of my thought.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of what you just mentioned. Like, do they want a one opinion answer? Because there's so many times where I've read something maybe about podcasting. I'm reading something about podcasting, and I'm reading through these top lists, and at the end, it's like the best software to use is ours, and then I'm like, oh, now the
Yeah, now
credibility of the
everything
rest
you
of the
just
stuff he
told
gave
me,
me.
I don't know if I believe that.
Right, because it's like, oh, that's just, I wish it was just somebody, a consumer that tells people everything they've tried. Like that's why I like YouTube videos for like, it's someone I've tried all these things, this is my favorite. I tend to trust those more.
Well, the
um
monetization is the information, not the, or it's the attention, not the traffic. So like on those pages, it's like, oh yeah, this is the best thing, and that's going to work for a lot of those clients. And they're going to be like, wow, this is the software that I want. They're going to click on it. But on YouTube, it's like, regardless if they're saying good things or bad things about something, they're still getting paid, which just kind of
right,
makes them a little bit unbiased. Well, makes them more unbiased than other places could potentially be.
right. Yeah, that's very interesting. So Google doesn't necessarily track where information is coming from, like if it's from AI or if it's written yourself, and they don't uh, penalize or give a benefit to having AI or not written, like not AI generated content. There's no way to track that right now.
I would say not right now. No, there's certain things that you can do to track AI output, but a lot of them are kind of wishy, and a lot of them haven't really been tested. So like the
Are any
number
of
one
them
doing
washy?
problem, wishy, kind of wishy washy a little bit. Like it's
Both.
there,
Okay.
it's not there. I'm not really sure.
Right.
You can do certain things. It's like whispers, I guess. A lot of it is whispers. They say that
Yeah.
so things like stable diffusion. They have basically said that there is an invisible watermark that will identify AI
Hmm.
outputted images, but from what I'm hearing, that might not actually be a thing.
I,
Um,
I would find it really difficult to believe that they can track, especially if you get the information, do a few edits. Like, does that, you know, cut off I don't know, or
Well,
change a
text is
few
harder.
words.
The text
That's
is the hard part. How are you going to identify whether or not someone is just a very generic writer or whether or not they used AI? And I think that
right.
it's a big problem with a lot of the school systems is they're using
Yeah,
software that's designed to tell whether or not something was AI generated, and they're not accurate. Even
that's
OpenAI
interesting.
has stated that their tool was not accurate. So, I mean,
Wow.
I don't think that they're doing it right now. Could that be a thing in the future when they get better at marking output? Sure.
Yeah.
And if anybody is listening to this and they're like way more of an expert in this and they're like, no, they're doing it, please tell me. I would love to make a video on that.
No,
Uh,
that would be interesting to find out.
in my professional experiences at this point, I don't think there is.
I know there are probably people there that are trying to figure that out. I mean, that
Yeah.
makes sense for people want to know that, but yeah, it's
Well,
not a
there's
thing right now.
glazing. So glazing came out, and what it does is it basically poisons LLMs. Or nightshade is the official the
Sounds
new term.
mysterious.
Yeah, so it's a basically something that you do to your picture. It changes certain pixels, so it's not visible to the human eye. But when an
Hmm.
LLM tries to read it, it renders it something completely useless or completely different than what it actually is.
Hmm.
Um, so eventually, and that's something I've kind of been looking into a little bit recently, is how to like protect artists' work who would like to upload something and they don't want it copied by people.
Right.
Um, so yeah, just little fun fact. It's getting better with the images, but the text is still hard.
Yeah, that is a fun fact. um, let's dive into for the last couple minutes here. Let's dive into some practical steps, and I kind of want to run a scenario for you
Yeah,
and get your opinion on it. So let's imagine a small business, a vacation rental business, managing 10 properties for their clients, and their days are super full, just trying to keep up with guests, cleaning, maintenance, They want to create content on social media. They have a bunch of beautiful pictures of their cabins, but they just don't feel like they can make the time to come up with new things to post all the time. How can this person utilize AI to do some of that creative work and enable them to do this without a large time investment, or because maybe they don't have the resources to hire somebody, or even do it in house with their time?
Yeah. Okay. So couple phases of social. Um, you have to start with planning. So you can start with synthetic market research. So find the group of people that you would like to rent to the most, and you can ask your chatbot how, like, what kind of content would they be interested in social media, just in
Hmm.
general. They're
Yeah.
calling this synthetic market research because it was basically trained on a bunch of people. Um, or the ideas of people through their large language models, and it'll tell you generally what that person might be looking for. So you can start with that, and that's
Okay.
going to give you kind of a buyer persona to tailor your content to. From
Gotcha.
there, it's really important to understand that there's going to be a lot of tools out there that are going to be trying to sell you something on this. They're going to sell you kind of subpar content that's not going to perform, and the only thing more efficient or more inefficient um, than spending all of your time making content is spending all of your money or time making content that doesn't work.
Right.
Um, so, because then you have to go do something else to find clients. So, from there, what I would recommend is I would recommend using two tools. I would recommend using CapCut and I would recommend using Canva. And this is for the everyday person. So,
Okay.
both of those tools are, one is kind of like a little mini graphic design tool. That's Canva, and the other is CapCut, which is like a mini video editor. I say mini, but it's actually quite hardy if you get pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And both of those tools have functions that will allow you to kind of take the creative effort you've already expended and allows you to repurpose them to something a little bit better. So for CapCut, you can take images of a house and you can upload the images of the house, and it will automatically throw it over audio. It will automatically add animations, and that is a good place to start.
Hmm.
It's quick, so you can do that with CapCut. But you also have like it's one of the effects on there, but it's like a 3D movement. So you can take just one picture of your house, and it will just ever so slightly make it look like it's moving. I'm sure a lot of you guys
Wow.
have seen those viral videos of
Yep.
like the super aesthetic homes recently, with like the rain and Tom and Jerry playing on the TV. It's been all over Instagram. I've probably seen 7 or 8 to the point where I considered making these.
Yeah.
But I've seen 7 or 8 of them. It's just a super aesthetic house, 3D, 3D effect added, and it's, yeah, they're doing really well with content. You make them super short. You add a trending audio over the top. That's a really good way people could win with minimal effort right now.
That's really
Um,
awesome. Is that part of the free CapCut, or is it you have to pay for a subscription?
that is a great question. I don't know if that one is free, but CapCut in general, if you wanted to just put that effect, I'm not sure if it is free.
Okay.
CapCut in general is free. Um, so if you go on and you have to link it to a TikTok account, and then you can download everything without the watermark. Um,
Gotcha.
so just know that there are ways to do it free, but it's also not expensive at all. It's like
Okay.
$89 a year. And then CapCut or Canva allows you to take your images and to kind of repurpose them without having to mess around with them on your phone. So if you wanted to resize something, let's just say you wanted to make a story, you can go on, add your stories, add captions there. There are some AI creative workflows that you can do with that. But they are a little bit advanced. I think the thing that you're going to be looking for is like you take a picture, you would like to upload it, but there is a dog in the yard, or there there is something in the picture you're like, man, this would be great if we could just remove that. And that's kind
Right.
of like one of the basic AI functions is being able to just go in and remove something from a photo. Or
Right.
let's just say you took a photo and you're like, wow, I wish it's just a little bit bigger. I wish this aspect ratio was different. You can go in and you can adjust your aspect ratios. I wish there was a better answer to the
No, that's a great answer.
how do I be creative with less effort. But I think the thing that's going to keep your marketing like fresh is keeping your creativity at the same level, but then reducing what it takes to be creative. Um, So I think if you learn those two tools, all those AI functions are there. They're available for either free or cheap.
Yeah.
Um, then I would definitely start there. And then from Canva, you can also schedule all of your social media posts. So what
Oh, okay.
from those two apps, you kind of got your planning with AI. And on that note, Canva will also write for you. So they've integrated OpenAI
Wow.
into their product offering. So you can type in what you're writing about, and it'll have it fill in the rest for you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So between
Well,
the starting planning of OpenAI, Canva, CapCut, you can plan, create, and schedule an entire month worth of content probably within an afternoon. So
yeah.
as long as you're content blocking correctly, you should be good to go.
Well, I mean, that sounds awesome. I mean, sharing a picture is one thing, but then you can take that same picture, make it move a little bit to make it a video,
Yep.
put some text over it, utilize the same piece of content in multiple ways, add a voiceover, um, or like an AI. You can do it yourself, obviously, or you could type in a description and, like you said, have AI read it for you, which is, I mean, trending anyway. People are utilizing that all the time. They recognize that AI voice that they've heard multiple other videos. They're like, oh yeah, okay. So it's kind of like creating its own style right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So one of the most important things though is like to know that at this point in time, at this stage, bringing someone on who is utilizing these things is really kind of important. So like as of right now, if you don't have any time or if you don't have um, like any of the drive to become creatively inclined. I work with a lot of people like that. The best case scenario right now is to work with people who are, skilled at your niche and market or content creating. So that's if you wanted to learn, that's going to make you better. But in the end, you probably got another 9 to 10 months before the social output of AI really meets the standard at which your local content creators, your local social media managers are producing.
I want to wrap it up. I did have um, one more question for you. It's basically just there are a lot of voices out there talking about AI. There's a lot of yeah, people who claim to be authority in the space, and I don't know exactly who to listen to. You have been my main source of content and information. It's been awesome to get to actually know you, and I definitely trust your information and what you've put out. So, my question is: there's a lot of authorities out there. Who can people trust? How can people learn more? You are the obvious first person on that list. This like go follow John Demer. He's definitely someone you can trust on as AI grows. What are some other things that you maybe follow and read that you get your information from?
All right. So I'm going to give you the easiest thing that you can do is, well, I like to listen to them, and it's the AI for Humans podcast.
AI
Um,
for Humans podcast. Got it.
AI for Humans podcast. It is funny. It is lighthearted. They do a very good job of making the information simple. So I highly recommend them. That's pretty much how I got into the space. And then once you get a little bit more like accustomed or attuned, you can go and you can listen to the AI breakdown by Nathaniel Whittlemore.
Okay.
So that one's high level. That one's talking about who's investing in who and what LLMs are doing what. Um, Not as like low level friendly, but that's where I
Got it.
find out about a lot of these new things that are happening. And then the third one is Discord.
Okay.
So there is the OpenAI Discord, and then there is the ChatGPT Discord. Going on there, kind of just talking with people, looking at other people talking about things. That's where I get a lot of information. I see people who are on the front lines of working with this, um, and these people are actively putting out like, "Hey, I just broke it. Like, check this out." And that break just so happens to do something really useful for me.
Right.
Um, so yeah, love those Discord channels. I think those are pretty much the three places. So Discord
Okay.
channels, AI for Humans, and the AI breakdown.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Um, and I know we basically answered this throughout the whole episode, but if someone wanted to start today, what are the main, I guess, resources that you'd put them on? You mentioned CapCut, Canva, ChatGPT,
Mhm.
or three, for example, you've mentioned. Are there anything else, maybe even specifically towards the vacation rental space? Of course, that those three I mentioned apply to really into any industry, but anything else that I'm missing?
I'd say if you get good at using ChatGPT, it's going to just open up your mind as to like what is actually possible, because it's one of the hardest things right now is telling people what is or what is not possible utilizing AI. So I think if you get
Right.
into ChatGPT, you're going to realize from a large language or from a chatbot perspective what you can and cannot do. From Canva, you're going to realize the graphic design functionality of AI, and from CapCut, you're going to realize the video editing capability of AI. There are more advanced versions of everything that I just said. But if you're looking to get in and start, that is definitely where I recommend.
Yeah.
That's the starting block. And as far as like vacation rentals go, I would definitely start using ChatGPT to start understanding your demographics, understanding the people who are buying from you. And I would do that through basically aggregating your data, asking ChatGPT to tell you a little bit more about them, um,
Right.
analyzing their feedback. That's the actionable piece of advice I would give for vacation rentals.
Yeah, that's valuable because I think a lot of people who are in this space, vacation rental space, they know their customer pretty well, but knowing how to communicate to them can be two very different things. You can love what you do, but if you don't communicate it super well, then yeah, it's. I mean, that's marketing. How do you communicate it? How do you speak to these specific customers? And this is definitely an amazing tool to help in that.
I would also just like to just casually plug, for anybody listening to this, the people who are most aware of all of these functions are your marketing team. So finding somebody within your niche, people like Ankerpoint, to do work with you, to work for you. As of right now, like I can't tell you where you're going to be in 5 years, Jacob, but as of right now, these people are looking after your best interest. They're doing the things that make sense. Um, yeah, great people to work with. So,
Nice. Thanks,
Jacob, I
John.
appreciate you having me.
Oh, dude, it's been a pleasure, and I've learned a ton. And we'll definitely have to do this again. If you don't follow John already, definitely go follow him. He's active on a lot of social media platforms. I personally follow him on LinkedIn and Instagram. You're also where else are you pretty active?
That's where you follow me unless you're looking for some just chaotic content. Yeah, my TikTok is still merging over to the professional
Okay.
John. Yeah, we're still
So the
converting traffic.
unprofessional John, go follow him on TikTok.
Oh no.
Hey, you brought it up, not me, man.
Oh
No.
no.
Well, thanks again, man. It was a pleasure chatting with you today. And yeah, appreciate your time.
Yeah, man. Thank you.